Hi all, welcome to CTPS Education. This is part 2 video of Spring Boot. Here we'll be discussing about annotations of Spring Boot. Before watching this video, if you did not watch part 1 Spring Boot interview questions, please watch that because there we have discussed many important topics. I have added the link in description. Okay, let's get started. Explain about Spring Boot application annotation. So for this we need to know about some other annotations also. First let's see about @enable auto configuration. As the name says, it is used to enable the auto configuration feature of the Spring Boot based on the dependencies whatever we have added in the pom.xml file. Then @configuration. So if you are adding this to any our normal Java class, then it will make that class as a configuration class, and also it indicates that the class has @bin definition methods inside that. Then @component scan. This will tell Spring that where it should look for Spring components. So whatever classes annotated with @component, all those classes will be scanned by using this @component scan, and we need to give here package name. Now we'll see about @Spring Boot application. We know it is the starting point for any Spring Boot application, and also it is a combination of the above three whatever we have seen. So all these three annotations, whatever thing it does, it can be done by this @Spring Boot application. So it is a combination of the above three one. Difference between @controller and @REST-controller annotation in Spring Boot. @controller. If you are adding this annotation before a class, then it will make the class as a component so that it can be searched by Spring IOC containers. And also it will make the class as a Spring MVC controller class. So it will add some extra feature to make the class as a controller. Then return format of the methods in that class will be view files. So it will expect the response format as a view file. Then @REST-controller. It is a combination of @controller and @response body annotation. We saw @controller above, that same feature this @REST-controller also will have. Along with that, it has extra annotation called @response body. This @response body is used to return values like HTTP response. So before we saw @controller can only return view files, but this @REST-controller, since it has @response body annotation also within that, it can return HTTP response body. That is, if you want to return a string value or some entity, we can return that with the help of this annotation. Let's understand more about @controller and @REST-controller annotation with the help of an example. First, @controller. For that, we have taken one class and a method that is returning home. So here I am adding @controller, and @request mapping we'll be seeing next. It is just like one annotation and it is used to access this method. So here @controller we have added. Now what will happen means, this return home, this will be like expecting a view file. So we need to add a view file named home. It can be either HTML file or JSP file. So this will be returning a view file. If we want to return a string, then we want to add one annotation called @response body. So now this will return home as a text, like string value it will return. So similarly for @REST-controller, we have taken the same code and except this annotation @REST-controller. So no need to add this @response body again here. So this will be like combination of @controller and @response body. So if you want to use this entire class, means like each method we need to add this @response body if you are using @controller annotation. So to avoid this, we can use it like a class level @REST-controller. @request body and @response body annotations. @request body. It is used to bind the incoming HTTP request with an object in a method parameter. That is, if we want to send many parameters at once, means we can send that within the body of the request. As a whole entity we can send. So for that, at request body annotation is used. Then at response body. How this request body is used to send the request. So similarly, at response body is used to receive that request as a HTTP response. So it binds the method return value to the response body. How that is possible means it uses HTTP message converters to convert the return value to HTTP response body based on the content type in the request HTTP header. So whatever thing we are content type we are expecting, we can pass that in the header. We'll see one example for this. At response body, we have taken a method public response entity login controller. So here response entity is the return type, and we are passing at request body login form. So this login form will have many like parameters inside that. It is like a single entity we are passing. So see, that is possible with the help of this at request body. Then return type is response entity, and we are sending this thanks for posting. So this will be sent as a HTTP response. How that is possible means with the help of this at response body annotation. What is @request mapping annotation in Spring Boot? If you want to access any resource, so we need to access that by using some link like URI. We will be accessing it. So that thing we can define in the @request mapping annotation. So it is used to map the web request, and it has many optional elements like consumes, headers, method, name, params, path, producers, value. So all these things, like it's like configuration only. We can configure inside that @request mapping annotation, and we can use this annotation in class level and also method level also we can access this. Example, @rest controller, and we have class name called books controller. Now @request mapping /text/books. So this is like one link. So if you see like HTTP :localhost 8080, this is our domain name /text/books. So if we access this link, then it will go for public string, this call this method, and this books found, this text will be returned. So to access any resource, we can go for this @request mapping. @get mapping and @delete mapping. First @get mapping, it will map the HTTP GET request on the specific handler method. That is, it is used to fetch or get the records, and it is the default one. So we saw about @request mapping, right? So if you are not giving any inside that any methods, means what operation it should be doing, means then by default it will consider that as a GET request only. So @get mapping only is the default one, and it is used instead of using @request mapping method equal to request method dot get. Like that, if you want to, instead of using this, we can go for @get mapping. This also will be doing the same function. Then @delete mapping, it will map the HTTP delete request to the specific method, and it is used to delete the resource, and it is used for, instead of using @request mapping method equal to request method dot delete. @post mapping and @put mapping. @post mapping, it maps the HTTP post request on the specific handler method. It is used to create new resource, and it is alternative for @request mapping method equal to request method dot post. Now let's see about @put mapping. It maps the HTTP put request on the specific handler method. It is used for creating or updating the resource. Alternative for put mapping is @request mapping method equal to request method dot put. If you see, both look similar, right? Post and put, but we have a major difference. Now let's see about it. The main difference between post and put is, if you call @put mapping multiple times also, only that same resource, whatever resource you are calling, that thing only it will get updated. But the problem with the post mapping is, if you are trying to call that multiple times, then each time it will create new resource. It will not update the existing resource. So we should be very careful in using the post mapping. So post will be used for creating new resource and put will be used for updating the resource. Now let's see about @path variable, @request param and @request header. First, @path variable, it is used to extract the values from the URI. So example, if you see /myfull/optional/id. So this id we have given in the bracket. So this is the value we want to extract, and this path variable will be mostly like a required parameter because we are adding it as a path of URI. So if you are removing that or if you are making that as a optional means, then it will cause problem. Next annotation, @request param. It is used to extract the query parameters from the URI. So similarly, it is also similar to path variable only, but if you see the difference, it is like $ID equal to ABC. So here we are passing that value and we want to extract that value. So here that ABC is the ID is the parameter and ABC is the value. So it is not mandatory. So this can be like optional parameters also, and removing this will not cause any problem. Then @request header. So if you want to get any details about the HTTP request headers, whatever header we are passing, then we can use @request header. Of example, if you see @request header of accept language, what language it should accept as a header means, we can give that by using this annotation. Okay viewers, these are the major annotations used in Spring Boot. If you have any queries, please ask in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and support us.